to keep this Hollywood train rolling because we're really excited about this next guest of ours. You know, Emotional Mojo, we're all about inspiring you to live your best life. Who better to do that than the man who inspires so many on the big screen? He is known by millions of people for his iconic roles in movies like, Lord of the Rings, Goonies, of course, Rudy, the determined underdog who dared to follow his dreams. And we are so thrilled to welcome actor, director, producer, and marathon runner, by the way, Sean Astin to Emotional Mojo. Welcome to our show.
Hello.
I'm so
Hi.
happy to
Thank you
have
for having me.
So good. Do you have any say on the whole Russell Crowe women in acting thing?
My mother, Patty Duke,
Yeah.
very world famous actress, Academy Award winner, multi-Emmy Award winner. The whole time I was growing up, lived in agony about this whole phenomenon.
Really?
And
Wow.
yeah, lived in agony. And then when she was finally old enough to start playing grandmother, she wanted to start playing grandmother roles in her 40s because she wanted to get there before they could take it away from her or something.
Yeah.
And I think there is. My understanding of the nature of acting is that if you can be true to yourself, that people will gravitate towards that. People want authenticity. So the complexity of the fact that society objectifies women in a way that is not necessarily as forgiving or as natural and righteous as it could be. Yeah. That exists. But Russell Crowe is a great firebrand, and people love to jump in and make hay. I don't think there's anything worth making hay out of that comment. To me, that's a comment that's well within the bounds of analytical thought in that business. So
it's his opinion too. I mean, it's like you can't say something without people jumping all over it, like you mentioned. But when we talk about roles, I mean, you have played some amazing and memorable roles. Is there any one particular character that you feel was closest to you in some sense?
Well, Rudy.
Yeah?
I am Rudy. I mean, in my life, I was the last guy picked on the baseball team. I was the slowest runner on the cross country team. I was always determined to not to let other limitations that are placed on you, not even by other people, but by circumstance, by fate, by genetics, by whatever it is. There's just limitations that seem to crowd you sometimes, and I just don't acknowledge them. I just want to push through and live my life and achieve the things I want to achieve. And so when that part came along for Rudy, I read it and I was reading about myself.
That's amazing.
Wow.
You know what? If there's one role that an actor will be remembered for, I think that's a pretty darn good one.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yes,
I mean, you probably still have people who are like doing the
all
Rudy
the
chant
time.
for you.
All the time. I hang out with him, and people we'll be walking together.
Do you get tired of that? I mean, at some point, it's got to get a little old.
I sort of had a feeling a couple years ago where the repetitive quality of that exchange, where people would chant Rudy, or they'd say from Goonies, Goonies never say die, or with Samwise Gamgee, there's some great quotes, about, I can't carry it for you, but I can't. Just these kind of wonderful, iconic things that I've gotten to do. But my father taught me at a very young age. I was shucking and jiving and moving and doing things, and he finally said to me at one point, he got mad at me. He goes, Sean, people are not pieces on a chessboard. He said every single human interaction is sacred, and so that's the standard that I had to live up to. And sometimes you can't be everything to everybody all the time. Sometimes you just have to. I'm sorry, I actually don't have time to do that moment, and I feel bad about it, but I'm going to go and
priorities, right?
Yeah. Well, but every one of those moments when somebody has that, it's the first time they've had that interaction.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden it's not about me, it's about them, and this is
They're going to remember that.
So speaking of which, and that's one of the things that I love about you, Sean, is, and I want to talk about your running, okay? Because that's how we've met, is with running. But you have a thing called #RunThird.
Yeah.
And you can explain it, but that's what I love about you, is exactly what you're describing is what RunThird is. So tell us what #RunThird is.
Basically, just the LA Marathon challenged in 2010 the field to run for something. And we know that any time you do a 5K or a 10K, it'll be a run on behalf of cystic fibrosis or whatever it is. And so you'll all wear, for a cancer run, everyone wears pink, or everyone wears red. So, but I had never thought about it like my specific, who am I personally making a dedication to? And I've had this maturation process where at that point I realized that it had been very selfish, that I wanted to run for myself, and if somebody was sort of expecting me in mile 18 to be thinking about them, it would somehow diminish me because I'd feel like pressure or something.
Yeah.
And then I came up with this thing where I didn't want to choose one thing. My family's had everything that all American families had: suicide and cancer and bipolar and you name it. Like most families, we've been touched by it.
Sure.
So I didn't want to choose one thing. So I realized, like, I'm going to flip it and turn it back on everyone else and say, what would you know? I'm going to prompt you. What would you run for? And then I'll run on behalf of you and your dedication and you and yours for your baby and for Tara.
So you run first for yourself.
Right. I run
like
first
that
for
you
myself.
do that.
Yeah.
And run second for family, and then
third
I
can
run
be-
third for you. Is
Yeah.
what Sean says.
So this hashtag is going wild on Twitter.
It is
right?
crazy. And you know what I love about
it reads
today's,
like a living prayer chain.
today's
when you
world?
Yeah.
Is that you can start a whole campaign
It's
like
so cool.
this. And it is like a prayer chain. I mean,
Yeah.
Sean, tell them about the Marine Corps Marathon where you carried all of these dedications of people that wanted
one of
him
my
to run
fans
for
who
them.
was who followed Run Third, and now there's Run Third. It's not about me. There's Run Third team captains, and anybody can do it. It's bigger than everyone, and it's amazing because when you provoke other people to think for a minute, they sort of go like, oh, nobody's actually I haven't thought about it in that way. So who would I today specifically think about that's not myself?
Wow.
You know, anyhow, it was they printed out all the dedications because I'd really hit it hard, and I carried them physically.
That's
you know,
so
Run
cool.
for my
That's
dad who has Alzheimer's, my son who's autistic, my daughter who's getting bullied in school. Run Third for my baby who is stillborn. Run Third, and you read this thing, you cry, and you carry those things with you, and you know. So.
Well, we want you guys to get involved and check it out. You can go to runthird.blogspot.com and get involved and read up on it because I think it's a really cool cause, and we're happy you got to talk about it.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on the show. And Tara, one of the more extraordinary figures I've met in my 30-something years of long-distance running. You're just such a vision and a dream, and I love. I think we've run close to 11, 12 something events like that, and it's. I always look forward to the. Yeah, you're just.
We want to have some fun with you. We're gonna play a game. We got some signs here, okay? Because as all of our viewers and our Facebook fans know, we're kind of big on motivational quotes here at Emotional Mojo. It's kind of our thing. So since so many of your roles have been motivational movie history now, we're gonna play a game of name the movie. So I'm gonna read a motivational quote. You guys guess which movie it's from: Rudy, Lord of the Rings, or The Goonies. Okay. Here's the first one. In this life, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody but yourself. What movie do you think that's from? I'm not going to answer because I produced this.
I can't pick like Casablanca
no.
or something like that.
Only you.
Unless you have it written down.
He
It's
should
a little
play
bit. Yeah, exactly.
you already
I
know.
should judge. I'll be the judge.
Answer?
Rudy. So it's really just me and Tara.
It's right. You don't have to prove nothing to nobody but yourself. I love that quote.
Yep.
Okay, here's another one for you. It's the job that's never started that takes the longest to finish. What do you think?
Well, what are they? What do you? What do you?
This one.
Yeah.
I don't
Don't
know.
cheat.
I don't know.
It's
I
not
don't
the
know this
Goonies.
one.
At 12 years old, I don't know if he had that particular kind of insight. I'm going to guess that it's Samwise Gamgee sort of giving Frodo a little bit of guidance.
What is it, guys?
Is
It is.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings. Okay, what about this one? No one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around.
I'm gonna say Rudy.
Yes.
You gotta have
Rudy
that
one.
one.
Yeah, you knew
that's
that one.
absolutely Rudy. Okay.
You know, there's a good one that you don't have, which is Rudy says, all my life people have told me that I can't do something. They've told me what I could do when I couldn't. He said, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There's so many to choose from. I'm like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
All right, what about this one? But right now, they got to do what's right for them because it's their time. Their time up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here. You guys have to know this one.
Is that? I have no idea.
What?
Is it?
Oh,
what
my
is it,
goodness.
Rudy?
I mean,
It's because you're
the
too young. You
Goonies.
guys are too young to know this. The Goonies.
I know it.
You know,
It's
yeah.
Goonies.
Is it Goonies?
You just told us
Yeah.
it says we're about to ride up in the bucket, and as soon as we go up there, all right.
It's an amazing lesson because what he's basically saying is you can't depend on other people to help you all the time. Sometimes people need to help themselves in their realm, and really it's up to you to try and do what you need to do. So it's a self.
You've been motivating people
Obviously,
since you were 12.
I need to rent the Goonies again.
All right, we got one more. There's some good in this world, and it's worth fighting for.
Yeah, that's it. You got that one. Yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of
It's
the
like in the
Rings.
great tales, Mr. Frodo, the ones that really matter. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going because they were holding on to something. And he says, what are we holding on to? And he says that there's some good left in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for.
Right.
I love
Nice.
that. Solar Rivers.
Nice.
Of course. Thank you for playing with
That's
us.
fun,
You're
yeah.
so awesome
I
to
love
be
you
here and take
guys.
time out and come do this.
I was watching those things. I wanted to comment on all of
I
them.
know. Well, we got to have you back. And by the way, our challenge today was it's okay to redefine your dreams as your life changes. Have you had to do that? We got about a minute here.
That was an amazing moment in my life when, you know, I thought if you set your, first of all, the idea of having dreams in the first place.
Yeah.
When with Rudy, he talked about it was my dream to play, you know, I was like, oh, I don't know that I have any specific dreams. Like, I know what I want, but the idea that you frame it in that sense, that there's something that is an identity for you, that defines you, that you can do it. And then, you know, you were saying at the beginning of the show that, you know, sometimes things don't happen the way you want it to. And I think sometimes if you can step outside yourself and look at and realize that when something happens to you, like, kind of smile, like, you know what, I may not fully understand why that's happening right now, but this is you, and this life is going to go by fast.
Yeah.
And you might as well just appreciate, you know, that a boat, if you turn just a little bit of a degree this way, that way, it ends up way over there.
Mr. Sean Astin, everybody, thank you so much for being here, guys. We'll see you next time on Emotional Mojo.